What if the safest object in your medicine cabinet became a murderer? In 1982, 7 Chicago area people died after swallowing capsules from ordinary store shelves. This is the Tylenol Murders, and how one letter changed consumer safety forever. Welcome to the Curious Archive. The first clue was not a fingerprint, a confession, or a witness. It was 6 missing capsules on a kitchen counter. And the woman who noticed them almost sounded unreasonable at first. That morning, America still trusted the white plastic bottle without thinking. Tylenol was not suspicious, it was familiar, cheap, and everywhere. Parents gave it to children, workers carried it, travelers packed it without checking the seal. But the capsule had one fatal weakness. It could be opened, emptied, refilled, and closed again. The bottle could return to a shelf looking untouched. No cashier needed to notice, because nothing looked wrong. That invisibility was the killer's greatest weapon. The first death looked like illness, then shock, then impossible coincidence. Doctors searched for disease while the answer sat inside a bottle. By afternoon, another family had unknowingly carried the same answer home. Adam Llanos thought he had a headache, not a death sentence. His relatives came to mourn him, then reached for the same bottle. One household became a crime scene before anyone understood the crime. Helen Jensen saw the bottle, the receipt, and the number missing. She could have dismissed it as grief-making patterns from chaos. Instead, she handed suspicion to men still looking for natural causes. The lab did not find medicine inside every capsule. It found cyanide, a poison fast enough to outrun explanation. Police suddenly had a weapon, but no shooter, no scene, and no target. The victims shared no enemy, no workplace, no obvious connection. Their only shared decision was reaching for relief. That made every American medicine cabinet feel like a suspect. Officers drove through neighborhoods warning families not to take Tylenol. Pharmacies stripped shelves faster than clerks could answer the phones. At Johnson & Johnson, the impossible question landed on James Burke's table. Protect the brand, or warn the country before the killer struck again. The company chose the country, and the brand nearly vanished overnight. 31 million bottles began moving backward through America's supply chain. But then the killer seemed to speak from paper. The note demanded $1 million and promised more deaths if ignored. Was this the murderer finally revealing himself, or someone exploiting national terror? The handwriting was jagged, theatrical, almost desperate to be noticed. Investigators traced the postage meter, then found a name behind a false name. Robert Richardson was not Robert Richardson at all. He was James Lewis, and he had disappeared weeks before the poisonings. That fact should have weakened suspicion, but the letter made everything stranger. Lewis later admitted writing it, but denied being the killer. Here was the twist: the loudest clue might have been a counterfeit confession. It promised answers, yet proved almost nothing about the poison itself. A man could write a threat without placing a bottle on any shelf. And a killer could stay silent while another man took the spotlight. Investigators faced 2 mysteries pretending to be one. One was murder by capsule, the other was terror by mail. The public did not care about the legal distinction. They only knew the next capsule might already be waiting. Halloween approached, and parents saw poison in every wrapped sweet. A crime against medicine became a crime against trust itself. Burke knew advertising could not repair a bottle people feared touching. The package had to confess whether it had been opened. A glued box, plastic band, and foil seal became a new language of safety. The caplet replaced the capsule because criminals had learned the capsule's secret. The killer forced chemistry, packaging, law, and commerce into the same room. Congress would soon make product tampering a federal crime. But legislation could not walk backward into 1982 and identify a hand. Lewis was convicted of extortion, not murder. The courtroom closed one file while leaving the darker one open. No physical evidence proved he placed cyanide on those shelves. That absence became the case's cruelest evidence. The murderer may have been brilliant, lucky, or simply hidden by ordinary routine. The shelves had offered perfect camouflage. Every customer had become both potential victim and impossible witness. By the time America exhaled, its packaging had permanently changed. The seal became a promise you tear before trusting. Millions learned to check plastic bands they had never noticed before. The killer failed to destroy Tylenol, but succeeded in changing every bottle. That is the paradox history remembers. 7 lives were lost, yet hundreds of millions gained a warning system. The nation became safer without becoming certain. Decades later, the murders remain unsolved. DNA technology has advanced, but evidence ages, degrades, and resists easy miracles. Families still live with an answer-shaped hole. A daughter can know the history and still not know the why. She can check every seal and still distrust the shelf. That is how terror survives after the headlines fade. Not as panic, but as habit. We tear plastic because someone once trusted paper and powder. We peel foil because 7 people never got that chance. The ransom note wanted money, history remembers the warning. It proved ordinary things can become frightening when trust has no visible boundary. The boundary became a seal, a band, a box, a warning. But no package can reveal the face that started it. Somewhere, perhaps, the killer watched America redesign itself. Maybe that was victory, or maybe it was the only punishment history could deliver. Because the murders ended, but the suspicion never did. The bottle became safer, yet the question remained open. Who turned relief into fear and walked away untouched? Sometimes safety is not born from confidence, but from the memory of betrayal. Do you think the ransom note came from the killer? Tell me in the comments. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to the Curious Archive. The next mystery is already waiting.